So what is it like to leave a religion?
A frank and honest TV debate about leaving Islam. What could possibly go wrong? Apart from obviously the first thing is it's a white woman talking about it and she's an extreme lefty. But let's just stick with it, see what happens. Check out her body language. She would sooner now be sat in a bath of acid than doing this interview. Just saying.
And what about publicly renouncing your faith when you grew up in a strict religious family? Well, that's the story of our next guest. Joining us from Melbourne is Sadia Hamid, a self-described ex-Muslim. She's the spokesperson for the Council of Ex-Muslims of Britain and is in Australia to speak at an event titled Losing Your Religion, which is organised by the Secular Party of Australia. Sadia, welcome to The Drum.
Right, this ex-Muslim who's just come on is now this interviewer's worst fucking nightmare because she can't be blagged, she can't be talked over, she's been there, seen it, done it, had the t-shirt, didn't like it, gave it back, doesn't want any more of it. What is this interviewer going to do? Well, just wait. Interesting.
But yeah. I mean, I personally, on a personal level, dislike Islam. And it's not just Islam. I dislike all religions. I'm not just an atheist. I call myself an anti-theist. I don't like religion. And I think that I have a right to say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And why all religions? Why don't you like religion?
Because all religions are misogynistic and patriarchal, and I don't like patriarchy as a woman. I think it's my duty to kind of speak out against misogyny and patriarchy.
Okay, now if I can bring you in here.
So, the female interviewer has gone for backup straight away, and she's pulled out a secret weapon, which is Little Old Lady. Little Old Lady still practices Islam and is quite enthusiastic about it. She's also very liberal about the truth, but she wears a smile and doesn't look very threatening, and you can wheel her out and she can play the victim card. And many other cards which you'll see in a bit. But don't be fooled. This woman is more dangerous than a great white that's come over all peckish.
Maha, because as a Muslim woman who's also spoken out against misogyny, how do you view this experience?
Well, I think she has the right to feel and choose her own way in life. And as a Muslim, as an Australian Muslim, I don't have any saying what she does and what she doesn't. But I just on.
And now she pulls out the first tool, which is passive aggressive and victim status. Got to chuck the passive aggressive in there, patronise with a smile and all the rest of it, and talk down to you like you're a fucking idiot, and accuse you straight away of something you haven't done. That's key. You must accuse them of something you're either doing yourself or something they haven't done, because then, well, they're wrong, aren't they? Apparently, but you must go for the victim status as well. That's key. Always the victim status. So if somebody's been prejudiced for whatever reason, yours was worse.
One point is that you already come from a place of disliking people, disliking something. You already put me on a platform.
But actually, we don't target people. Our organisation talks about the ideology, not the individual. We intentionally try and separate, and we've got no interest in disliking. I mean, at no point do we say we dislike Muslims.
Ha-ha, old woman. Young Skywalker is turning out to be more of a match than you thought. You clearly lost that one.
I want to bring in the rest of the panel here to see your views on just the openness of debate here and whether there is, Sadia has spoken at length in a number of forums about the fact that a fear of Islamophobia means that there isn't an open debate and that in fact sometimes cripples the left in having a discussion about it. Is there any merit to that?
I think there is merit. I mean, there's no platforming that happens, from left activists who won't let women speak. And so there is a level of patriarchal, not letting women speak or not letting religious women address their faith. So the left needs to have a reckoning with itself as well as the right on the way that we communicate about religion. I mean, the simple fact is that, like you said, 30% of Australians chose no religion. So there is a lot of gray area then that needs to be discussed between people of opposing faiths.
It's interesting that they should bring on a gay man to talk. And did you notice how utterly, utterly terrified he looked? He was honest, but he was doing his best not to put his foot in it or say anything he could be criticised about. And this is the problem. We need to be able to just say what we think without any worry about going, people are screaming at you racist or whatever, because talking about things that are awkward are never easy. But the harder you make it, the longer it takes to get these things talked out. Or maybe not at all, as the case is. But now they're going to move on to something a lot more awkward. And this is the part where, well, this is where it gets more interesting. They're going to talk about domestic violence. Watch what the old dear tries to do in this one.
But one thing we've discussed a lot on this show, Sadia, is some of the debates within religion. For example, you know, criticisms of the church and their attitudes towards women, and needing to really address some cultural issues regarding domestic violence and so on. But you have been critical of feminism, of feminists, for being silent on questions that you consider vital when it comes to the Islamic faith. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. So feminism has been really, really silent about this double standard. In fact, actually, they actively support some of the oppression that women face. I mean, the fact that you have a celebration, World Hijab Day, and you have women that don't even understand that in some parts of the world it is a symbol of oppression, a tool of oppressing women, and the women are freely donning the hijab, a symbol of our oppression. To celebrate that is a huge betrayal. To not discuss that a woman can be beaten by her husband.
Fair play, this woman's got balls. I like young Skywalker. She's really going for it. She's not holding back, but she's talking about facts. And facts are a dirty word, especially on this. Listen to the white woman, right? I call her white woman. I'm allowed to. I'm white, all right? But listen to her try and immediately douse it down. Oh, it's only lightly beat. She's still beating somebody, you fucking retard. And the old woman, oh, she's not going to take it lying down.
The Quran actively says that a woman can be beaten by her husband.
I think it says lightly discipline. But my understanding is that's not...
I can't lightly beat my husband.
I'm not going to get into that conversation, but can I just go back to...
I can't lightly beat my husband.
Women,
that's ridiculous.
Can I just say here that feminists have been standing up for the rights of women to choose.
To choose to be beaten?
No,
and to be raped?
Please. No.
Of course.
I'm talking about the dress. I'm talking about choice of my dress. My choice of my dress is a sign of my own freedom. It's my spiritual connection.
So why have no feminists spoken out for the women in support of the women in Iran? In Iran, women are taking off their hijabs.
But just because you don't know something, it doesn't mean it's not happening. I'm sorry, Sadia, please go outside of your little circle.
Please don't patronise me and accuse me of not knowing. That's very patronising.
No.
Sadia, can you accept, though, that there are different strands within a religion, that there are different ways of viewing women, and that some women are speaking out within that tradition?
The fact is that these passages exist in the religious text. You have to acknowledge that before you can challenge it. And a lot of women will, particularly women that are extremely religious and protective of Islam, will gloss over the fact that you can beat your wife, or that the hadith says that you can rape your wife.
أهلا بكم من خلال هذا اللقاء الذي هو بعنوان ضرب الزوجات. مدة قبل ذلك أيضا أن توجد أسبابه الشرعية.
Yeah, the old lady was lying, and as you see that clip there of how to beat your wife was just, it was literally the first one I pulled up. There were loads and loads of stuff on YouTube, Google, wherever. You know, you haven't got to look very far to find it, and there's plenty out there. So he goes on about beating her with a stick and things like that, and I just thought I'd throw one up there for you. You know, this seems like a more efficient and quicker way of doing it, and also release stress for everybody. Just
calm down. Now get back to your seat. I'll take care of this. Calm down. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Doctor, you want it on the phone. Everything's going to be all right. Please.
Sister, please, I'll handle this.
Yourself.
I've got to get out of here. Out of here. I've got to get out of here.
Can I please say that?
Oh, yeah.
I cannot sit here and be told that I am glossing over something. That's where you're really patronising me. But it's not about me. This is about the faith that I belong to. There are different strands, and I do not believe that my principle will allow me to sit here and listen to say that I agree with beating of wives. That is really, it makes my heart bleed. I'm really sorry about that.
So, I mean,
Look, I
challenge
think
the men that are popularising that definition then.
No,
That's what I'm saying.
Sadia, I think it's a salient point because we've had a big discussion, as you've had in Britain and particularly in Australia, regarding domestic violence. And there are, of course, there has been a discussion about those verses, and I don't think you can find a scholar in Australia, a Muslim scholar in Australia, who would support the argument that it is legitimate to beat your wife. But there are certainly some imams who have expressed that view. But I think it's particularly sensitive because Maha has spent decades looking after women who've worked in domestic violence.
So have I. I mean, that's my professional background as well, domestic violence and sexual violence. And I've certainly seen the silence on the part of general society when it comes to Islam and these issues. And that's why we're still exhausting ourselves.
That's exactly what I was saying to Chris. What was I saying to you outside? My voice will always be drowned. Isn't that what I just shared that with you earlier? That's exactly what I mean.
We're listening to your voice.
My voice is always drowned.
When that old lady said, I can't listen to this, I can't, agree with this isn't true. Unbelievable. And then the young lady comes out with, well, actually, this is my particular chosen profession. This is what I study most in. And the old woman's like, fuck, bollocks again. So pulls out the victim card. As you see, nobody lets me have my say. I'm not listened to. So you've got lefty cock white woman then going, oh, but we listen to you. Oh, but they won't ever let my voice be heard. The thing is, when you talk shit, people will beat you down with evidence. But that is the problem with the left. Evidence is not important. It's about feels. And because you feel that you don't want it to be so, in your mind, it isn't so. However, it very is so. You can ask many women about it that have been on the receiving end of a good beating. So it's now going to go downhill a bit at this point, I believe.
Doesn't matter how I project it. I cannot sit here and justify what I've been doing for many years.
All the time, and what we want is these hideous passages from the Quran that say you can beat your wife, whether lightly or not. That doesn't bother me. I don't care. That needs to. Well, no, but it says it, doesn't it? You have to. Maha, tell me it doesn't say it. Please say.
Okay, I think we've already had the discussion on this. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You have an important voice, and we're fascinated by what you have to say about your faith and about your work. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Sadia.
Thank you.
Well, you've seen it for yourself there. Unfortunately, the young lady was supposed to take a beating on there and lose the debate. This didn't happen. The old lady was supposed to have on the ropes all the time, and the old lady lost. Therefore, you have the producer screaming in the ear of the anchor woman, or whatever you want to call her, and anchor woman's being told to get her off as quickly as possible because at the moment there's lefties all over Australia going fucking spastic. They can just see the mountain of emails coming in calling for this other woman to be thrown out of Australia or whatever else. So she did what she was told and got her off as quickly as possible. Now wait, because they're going to go back to this old woman and now let her have it. All of us say unchallenged.
But given our conversation earlier in the show, I just want to go back to Maha now. I just want to iterate that you have a very important voice, Maha, and we really value you on this show. I know how hard you've worked in your community and outside of your community to educate people about assumptions and about myths and about stereotypes. You're a person of great faith and you always conduct yourself with great grace. So I don't want you to ever feel drowned out. Do you have anything that you want to say as a consequence of that? And I regret that caused any distress.
No, that's okay.
Well, I actually thought she went on to whinge and moan because I've only watched this once before and it was earlier on, so my mistake. However, she finished up her conversation on that particular point, then went to waffle on about something else of minor, and it was boring, so I've cut it out. The point I wanted to show you here was when you are guilty of wrongthing, which that young lady was, you are deplatformed, which she essentially was too. Had that old woman wanted to come up with any old bullshit, she could have done there, and that young lady would have had no way of arguing back. So what we need is TV that actually is impartial. I know it's a fallacy. I know it won't happen. Well, not all the time it's being run by the left. However, this is what we need, because when people feel that they're being lied to, or be not listened to, or, you know, just when they can see bullshit a mile off, people are switching off to it. And they're switching off to the media, the mainstream media, in their droves. Somebody came out with a fact the other day. I think the average person who watches the BBC now is in their 70s. And the younger generation, this is the news that is, and I think it's the same, it's up near that age in the UK for Sky. People just will not watch it anymore. If they want to get their news, they get it through other places, like what I'm doing, or they go on to, I don't know, YouTube, or their own way of finding out the news, minus the filter. So yeah, until these mainstream medias get with it and realise that people just don't want to listen to their bullshit anymore, they're going to struggle for viewers. And that's what they're doing now. The only problem with this is they're actually trying to stop people like me and many others like me having a YouTube channel, because what they want is they want to come onto YouTube now to find the young people so that they can brainwash them. But what they don't realise is if they came onto YouTube, we'd all fuck off to somewhere else, because we don't want to be brainwashed. You know, we can see it as it's happening now. So fuck off. Anyway, look, thanks for putting up with this. This was a bit of a longer one, but I just wanted to show you the extreme bullshit narrative that has to be followed in the media. Anyway, thanks for subscribing. We're just past 10,000 now, and keep liking and sharing. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon. Bye.